Yeah, it's really,
We'll see if that happens.
but I'm saying is you go down, you go to other towns, other places, they say this is how we do things, whatever you have to be done is done. I mean, you shouldn't have to go 15, 20 years and that's it. It's really an eyesore. You want to have, at least have one smooth ride. So that's what, and, the main thing, could signs be put on these streets, or the street, slow down, pedestrian, or kids are playing? Because I mean, you sit there and watch people, the sign says stop, and then go, just yield and go around the sign. I mean, you young or old.
Well, the question there is not the signs not being there, the question is enforcement. And we'll talk to the police chief, and there has to be more aggressive enforcement now that there's, early spring is coming and the weather's
Right.
nice, so they'll be out there.
I mean, it's a shame that you got to stand on the sidewalk, but then to do cross, you got to
And I have
go
to tell you that looking at, I know that Commissioner Whalen will back me up on this, but I mean, 2 weeks ago, they had some aggressive enforcement of pedestrian crosswalk sign, violations. And they gave out not just a lot of warnings, but also some violations. And so they are out there. It's just a question now that the weather's getting better. I'm sure the chief will need to go.
And the last thing I want to say is, because I'm not making a picture on that, but I mean, it's really scary sometimes. When you look both ways, you got to look both ways that you go across. And you're
I
sitting there.
absolutely agree with you. And as you know, you've been at every council meeting, one of the worst traffic counts that we have is actually not even at Broad Street, but Shrewsbury Avenue.
Yes.
And Shrewsbury Avenue is a perennial problem, and I can tell you that the county engineer has talked to us about it. And the commitment that we do have is that they are going to be engaged in improvements on Shrewsbury Avenue as soon as the bridge is finished. Now, unfortunately, we're nearing the end of the work on the bridge. So we're starting to talk about what they can do, and they've offered to be partners in that.
And the last thing, Mayor, when you come down, before you get to the new part, I call down, that you go past the hot dog stands, the dips and nips in there, and when you come back, when you come across the bridge to come back into Red Bank, you patch it, but it's like it's sinking automatically. And you got to swing, maneuver, not. At nighttime, it's just like you said, you have to put on your extra lights or whatever you have to see. And I said, it should, it takes time to think, but at least if you're going to invite somebody into your town.
Well, I can also tell you that you're talking about Riverside Avenue, Route
Yes.
35, and the DOT commissioner was in Red Bank last Thursday, and was kind enough to do some follow-up. What we've been talking about for a long time on Riverside Avenue is not necessarily traffic calming, which is slowing down the traffic of people coming out of the bridge, but also people trying to get out of Red Bank or increasing the traffic. As we put in a petition, the town did maybe 6 years ago, and of course it's a state highway, so it takes longer. You have to get state funding, you have to get state approvals. They've done a lot of the studies, but one of the things we've asked for is pedestrian crosswalks and also calming towards the area of 28 Riverside and 40 Riverside Avenue. We've also asked for an additional traffic light at the intersection of Bodman and Riverside Avenue, because when Route 35 was initially modeled at the time and reconfigured by the state when they took away the parking spaces on Riverside Avenue, the head counts of individuals living on the Riverside Avenue corridor were 1/3 of what they are now. So more people live there, more people work there, V&A is there, the Oyster Point is busy, and it's a dangerous situation. We brought that to the state's attention. The state initially was not going to do anything about a possible traffic light involvement. They've been receptive to that idea after we've had the commissioner over a number of times. So I think we've made a lot of progress. The mere fact that the commissioner himself has been in Red Bank 2 times in the past 6 months, through the help of Senator Beck, I should add, has been a positive thing. We're getting there, we're talking to each other, they understand the problem. I think there's going to be a solution, I hope so. And, it's a state highway, so we have to, it takes a lot longer because, of course, the state has to deal with 500 different municipalities.
Right.
But we've gotten their attention. Again, I don't know how many other towns have had the commissioner take a look at one road in 6 months twice.
But I'll give you the information afterwards, and also enjoy your birthday, because my birthday was this month too, so I'm saying, we slice of cake, but make sure nobody.
I'll save a cupcake for you.
Mr. Mayor, if I could just comment on that, just sort of proactively with Bridge Avenue finally getting paid, if and when that finally does happen.
You live there.
I do live there,
Yeah.
and I also walk on Bridge Avenue. As the weather gets nicer, we will have more pedestrians. That is a street that people fly down now. I mean, I'm pretty sure people getting two wheels off the ground at certain points. Once that's paved, that's going to be a highway. We need to really be proactive about enforcing that, be very mindful about pedestrian safety on Bridge Avenue in particular.
And then,
I'm sure the commissioner will take care of it.
I just want to follow up with Jimmy. Thanks for bringing up those points. And to Mark's comment, the police department, we just finished the pedestrian safety initiative month that we just had in Red Bank. We think it was very successful. We're just waiting the results back. So once we have results, we'll find some areas of need that we need to do a little more work that we're doing really well on. So we're excited to get that back. But it was a successful month, and we are looking into pedestrian safety. So thank you, Jimmy, for those comments.
Ms. Visconti, what is it?
How you doing? 19 Morford, please. I got an email back in 2013, and it was regarding an Oprah request I had. And I'm speaking to the 3 Republicans. This might be an opportunity to add a little more transparency. For example, committee meetings do not have to hand in agendas. Also listing who attended and if all the committee members met. For example, the Environmental Commission, and this is, I don't believe anything has changed, but per the email, it said it does not prepare an agenda and is not required to maintain minutes. The Green Team, it submits information to the Environmental Committee and it does take notes. So there's no consistency. Rent Levy Board is not required to maintain minutes. I mean, I would...
That's not true. The Rent Leveling Board is a statute.
I'm just reading an email from Pam back in...
The Rent Leveling Board has to provide minutes because it's a quasi-judicial board, and appeals from that have to go to the courts.
No, I'm just reading...
No, I'm just saying
Maybe
that's
it was just
incorrect,
miscommunication from Pam. Public Safety is not required to keep minutes and does not need to keep minutes of their meetings. I mean, that's just a typo there. So I was wondering if we can, going forward, add something that we do keep some level of minutes. I do think, Linda, the few times that you had last year, one of the highlighted issue for the town, you kind of gave the town a heads up. Hey, this is what's going to happen. Everyone's busy, but if it's an issue that is dear to your heart, you want to make sure you're there. And we also want to make sure that the people who are there to represent the town as committee members, that they show up and they participate. So that's just an idea I've had.
2 things. Just a question, because I'm inquisitive also. Does the school board have minutes of your committee meetings?
Yes.
Publicly?
We should open requests.
Personnel has minutes.
Not personnel, but it's not a committee.
What's that?
It's not a committee. We don't have a personnel committee.
You don't?
No.
Okay. But all your subcommittees have minutes?
Yes.
Okay, that's good. And again, don't get me wrong, I didn't know, but first of all, you probably didn't know it because you, like Councilman Whalen, probably wasn't born yet. But in 1980, I was the plaintiff. I wasn't the attorney, I was actually the plaintiff. Mena versus Judith Stanley, which was a leading case that Ben was a young reporter at the time, I think, or in high school, I forgot, where I actually sued as a plaintiff, the Brookdale Community College Search Committee. It was a subcommittee of the Board of Trustees. The search committee was looking into people who they were going to hire as the next president of Brookdale Community College. So I actually took them to court because they had subcommittee meetings and did not disclose who they talked to or who they interviewed, and did not disclose why their recommendation was for a certain person. It had nothing to do with the person. But so I did sue Judy Stanley, who was the chairperson of the Brookdale Community Board. And Judge Farron at the time did rule that subcommittee meetings are public information as long as they are substantive in terms of the nature of the discussion and recommendation made to the governing body of that particular entity. So that was the leading case that sort of set the precedent for subcommittees having to be, it was not appealed, by the way.
No, this is
So
just...
I agree with you. I think that they should be. I think that the, Environmental Commission should have meeting minutes. I think that all Parks and Rec should have meeting minutes. I mean, they don't have to be formal. You don't have to have a formal secretary, but each committee has a lay secretary. They can just put, who attended and the nature of discussion, right?
The
And
EC
discuss the field or something like that.
The EC does do that.
Okay.
But there's no continuity across all the committees. And when our open request is back in 2013, I believe, that's the response I got. And I don't know, I'll forward you guys the response that I received. And I just think it would just add to more transparency for the town.
Yeah, I agree. Carol? I didn't forget you, Mr. Boyd. Ladies first, I know you're a gentleman.
I just want to follow up on the parking, or not parking, the traffic. That big sign that when you come into town now about the fines for pedestrians, not yielding, can that be moved around town? Can that be like, I've never seen any place but right here.
Where is this?
It's right when you come.
Mr. Mayor, this is part of a DOT-funded
Yeah.
study, and they chose the location based on traffic counts and the accident reports.
So it's gonna stay
It was
right there?
specific to that site for a period of time.
Okay.
But we do normally move it around.
I've never seen it any
Well,
places.
we're talking about this study, and we're waiting for the results. So first there was an initiative to educate the public at that site, the people that frequent that site about safety. Then was to monitor the accidents that occur after the signs are up, and then report back. So we're still in that
I think
study.
it's a great idea, but I'd like to see it like down and when people come across those railroad tracks and come flying into Red Bank and have it down at the other end. I mean, it'd be nice to move it around Bridge Avenue, different places, because people need to be reminded because they just fly. So, okay.
Thank you. Mr. Boyd?
Good afternoon. Get 65 shoes bag. And Mr. Mayor, I ain't gonna take long. Happy birthday to you. I know the feeling when you're getting up there in numbers.
Your eyesight's better than mine.
A couple things. One thing is the parking. Is it any way on certain streets, Bank Street is one, a couple streets that we can make one side parking? Because at night, first day, fire truck cannot get down Bank Street. You got a lot of people, not just Bank Street, but certain streets, not all the streets, but certain streets. Some people catch problems getting in and out of their driveway.
Well, in answer to your question, the quick answer to your question is that you're asked if certain streets can be made, parking on one side or the other. The answer is, yeah, the municipality has the authority, has the right to do that. We have done it in certain streets in the past. The normal procedure we have always done is that if there is a request from the community, we normally send out the police department or somebody to speak to the people, get sort of a grid as to who's in favor of it, who's not. And it could be that the whole neighborhood wants it, it could be only one person wants it, or two people. So in other words, we try to get input from the people who live there. But yes, the ability exists for a municipality by ordinance to change parking regulations on its streets, not a county roadway, but certainly a street.
But I mean, the reason why I'm bringing it up, during the daytime, I mean, you can lay in the middle of the road, Bank Street. That's how clean it is. But at night, you have a lot of people come home. They don't park in their driveways. And you got about 3 or 4 people staying in the house and all of them driving vehicles. They park in other people's in front of other people's houses. That person cannot get in and out to maneuver. And I just figured if you make one side parking, it would help. People get in and out of their driveway. And it was also force the other people on the other side of the driveway to use their driveway, which they're not using their driveway.
Because they can't park in front of their house.
Well, I mean, look, that's what you got to drive.
I'm saying that's the balancing.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So I'm just throwing it out there. I think it's something, maybe the chief of police can come over there one night.
If there's an interest, we will respond to it, sure.
On the weekends, not just throwing it at one house, but you have people come over constantly at this one house and parks 4 or 5 vehicles and everybody, in front of everybody's house. And they cannot maneuver in and out of their driveway. So I figured if you make it, you know, maybe 5 to 9 in the morning, that one side parking, it's fine, you know, man, just something to look at. I think we need it, because you have a couple people on that street, it's a little, you know, man, need that extra space. One lady next door to Lorraine, she was trying to get out and she hit the vehicle because she couldn't maneuver her vehicle, you know, so I would just like to see that be looked at.
We have that problem on Oakland Street at night. Well, especially on Oakland with the theater, and we've been enforcing blocking of driveways very aggressively.
Well, I mean, they're not really blocking the driveway, but
They are.
yes,
They
you
are.
know,
They are.
I mean, not.
Believe me, they are.
Yeah, okay. I'm
There's
not
one
over it.
resident right back
Okay,
there.
I apologize for that. But you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Maybe you can set it up with one of the chief police to meet, we'll come over there
Yeah.
and see.
Okay.
The other thing is, there's a car on West Bergen, well, Dr. Parker Boulevard. In front of the house that caught on fire, Mr. Miller, that lot, this car been parked there. I'm not gonna exaggerate, for 2 years. If you go there, it's registered, I guess it's registered, got insurance on it. The car
Is
sitting
it not a
there,
2-hour parking zone?
I guess it is.
Yeah.
But if you go there, this is no lie, you can ride by there. They got this much sand up under that car. Because they've been sitting there all the winter, all last year, all the year before, and all the water and stuff done collect up all around it. It's a power, you need a tractor to go over there and really move this sand once you move that car.
In front of Red Rose House? Is it Red Rose
The
House?
one, yeah, next to the,
Yeah.
yes.
It's
It's
Jenny's
a
house,
gold
yeah.
car, it's just sitting there, but I'm just saying, if you move this vehicle, you can clean all that sand up, you know, before it go in the drain system. The other thing is, I'm not asking nobody up here on the council
That's a
meeting.
2-hour zone.
Well, this vehicle is.
The police will look into that as an
Not 2 years, 2 hours.
Freddie.
We'll take care of it.
Okay,
More tires.
okay. I mean, it's been sitting there for a while. It got caked with sand. You can't miss it. The other thing is, I'm not asking y'all councilmen to answer my question, but we have a problem, and I don't want to really bring this issue up because I respect y'all. But I have another problem. The day that it was raining, and I know Zipper spoke at the last council meeting. There's a farm that they got to pull out for safety. Well, this vehicle was out there the day that it was raining, and I was coming out of the post office, and the vehicle was on the side of the road. 2 guys was in it. Pouring down rain. Windshield wipers don't work. We can't drive. I said, what do you mean you can't drive the truck? You can't move. We got to wait till it stopped raining. I asked them, I'm being straight up, are y'all pulling these sheets out? And they, Freddie, what sheet? I say, the safety sheets for these trucks. It's supposed to be filled out. I said, Councilman Zippers mentioned that again. We don't have none. We don't have no safety sheets to fill out. And then, Freddie, if we pull them out, they go in the box and nothing being done. I just want to bring that to your attention. I know y'all can't speak on it, but I just want to bring it to your attention. What you say here at the council meeting is not happening. And I expect if you get it done, because, Mr. Miller, I'm pretty sure it stands simple. I was working here, and I refused to drive that truck that day that Mr. Rock went down there by Molly Pitcher and got pinned in the garbage truck because the truck didn't have no brakes, and he never came back to work. He's deceased now. I refused to drive that truck because it didn't have no brakes that day. And if I'd have drove it, it could have been me. But I'm sorry, he was an older man, it happened to him. I know the safety of these vehicles. That's the first thing we need out here, these kids. The other thing is the slow down signs on a lot of these streets, over here, River Street, Bank Street. These people make shortcuts. And they don't know the area, and they flying up these streets. I mean, they flying up these streets, and by the time you holler, hey, slow down, they're at the next corner. Then ready to go around that corner. So I'm just saying we need signs. And I'm not throwing it in your face, Zippers, but when you was running, you said you were concerned about the kids' safety. Now, we don't hear that no more. What is wrong? The kids, wait a minute, you don't,
on River Street,
I don't want you to
they had the police department had the speed sign a couple of months ago. The chief had it installed on River Street on the way down because the primary school is at the bottom of the hill there. So the police chief was good enough to get the traffic division to put the speed sign up on River Street a couple months ago.
I seen that there, Mississippi, but we've been complaining about Bank Street also and other streets that it should be signs. I'm just saying, I think we make enough money that you can afford to buy these little signs, say children crossing, to slow down.
You know, Fred, I understand what you're saying, and we've talked about this, and I know the whole council is sensitive to it. But, you know, I have a question probably for later with our engineer, because I know that I've had the same question with our prior engineering firm, and we really didn't get too far. One of my strong beliefs, and I believe very, very passionately about this, is that on residential streets, I think that four-way stop signs work. And the past couple of years, I've been trying to get them on some of the residential side streets that lead to the school. And every time we do that, Bill, the engineer said that based upon the traffic counts, that it's impossible. But I see Freehold Borough, which has smaller and less counts than Red Bank, in some of the side streets leading to the county courthouse, and all of them are four-way stops. And some of them are close to schools, some of them aren't. And I don't know how Freehold's been able to do it, because they certainly don't have greater accident counts than we do on their streets. So could you speak to their borough engineer or their chief of police and the traffic safety, figure out how they did it, because whatever they did, it's been up there for 5 years and nobody's been complaining, at least not that I know. They're still there. So, I mean, the answer I was given is that we couldn't do it because of our counts. I don't know how Freehold does it, but they've done it successfully. That would slow them down.
And Mayor, there's also been some complaints on Chapin Avenue because people come up from the nursing home in the same fashion.
It's the same sort of thing in Cherry streets.
That had been brought up to the police chief a while back too, because people do either speed down, on their way downhill, or coming up around that blind turn up onto Chapin.
So if we can get four-way stops, that slows, and that means it's going to take you a longer time to start gearing up your car to the next, and you got to slow down again. So I think that does a lot to slow the vehicles, and again, it's been done very successfully in the borough and Freehold.
I know Eatontown have a lot of speed bumps.
Well, speed bumps are positive and negative because, they make noise at night for people who live there. If you're going over too high, you lose a tire, but you also make noise for the neighbors.
Well, it'll slow that vehicle down.
Well, that'll slow the vehicle down.
Well, I'm not gonna hold you up, but Cherry Street and I think that's Apple or Peach, it's four-way stop sign. My daughter got hit, and she had the right of way on Cherry Street, right before the church. And I went to the council meeting, and I spoke about it, and her car was totaled. 2 weeks later, you go there now, four-way stop sign. It's four-way stop sign. I'm just saying, they don't mess around. I got to give them some respect. They took action right there and there. They said it was enough accident on both of them streets that they should put four-way stop sign. They there now, trying to stop both ways on both of them streets, and it saved their lives.
It works in Red Bank's case. We lobbied for many years. We finally got it up on Chestnut Street and Bridge Avenue, and it does work there.
So the other thing is Bridge Avenue. We met with the architect, me and Jimmy, and Heather, we met. He forgot about the crossing of Bridge Avenue. Yes, we met, and we spoke about it. He just forgot, but they said they're going to improve the crosswalks and stuff on Shrewsbury Avenue. So we're looking forward for that this summer.
Thank you. Anybody else? Mr. Placer.
Mr. Mayor, I don't want to take up much of your council's time. Last night, English Plaza got repaved. There was no notification.
It wasn't a repaving job.
I'm sorry?
It was not a repaving job. The entire lot did not get repaved. That's a repaving job. It was a patching job because some of them were liability. Some areas of that lot were liability hazards. So it's not a repaving of the entire lot. So that's what the miscommunication was, because frankly, I got a lot of calls today. I thought that they were all, other types of calls, but they were all about the job that was being done at English Plaza, and they were all complaining that whoever the contractor was did a bad job in repaving the lot. And I said, it's not a repaving, it's a patching job for liability purposes and making sure that some of the indentation or previous ones were taken care of. It was part of a grant that we got to do that. Now, that's phase one. I don't know what we're going to do next, but we have to take care of that first. So it was not a bad job. That's all they were supposed to do is just patch.
It wasn't a miscommunication, it was a no communication. The businesses were not notified. This morning, we came into work and we see
You
signs.
didn't know that? Nobody told you?
No. This morning, we came in and we see signs at White Street parking lot. I think that's the sound you hear out there. Starting 6 o'clock is being paved right in front of my building. I have no notification. And not just River Center, the town has the ability to send out email blasts. We get them, there's no email blast about it. I don't know if we're doing Globe or East Side, but there's no notification. And for the businesses that are open late at night, that, you know, it's a hit for them. There's parking lots, just because they stopped taking meters at 6, there's still parking up to 6. But hopefully you guys can address it going forward.
Yeah, I think River Center did send out an email.
We sent an email on English Plaza, and I believe the way it works is the contractor or the police notify the businesses that are on English Plaza, and then we did send an email out to the business community. We did not send an email out about White Street because we weren't informed about White Street until there was a miscommunication with White Street.
Wouldn't that also come better from the borough blast to go to all residents too?
I just want to make sure, because I know Jim said there was a notification that he didn't. Okay, so you did send it.
We did send them one about English Plaza, but not about White
There's
Street.
no reason why we shouldn't do it.
Right.
Thank you.
Victor? You don't want to move that sofa tonight. That's why you're still here. What's the open house? I'm busted in his chops. There's an inside story there.
Real quick, just some real quick general questions about the 2016 budget approval process. Is there a due date for that?
For the what?
I thought I saw April 28th as the date where the budget should be submitted for Red Bank 16 budget.
You mean the borough budget?
The borough budget.
The borough budget has to be introduced. Eugenia, what is the date of the introduction?
By statute, it was the next meeting after March 18th. However, because of the fact that we were waiting for the tax appeal before it was up the number, we asked, and we asked the state to give us the extension.
Okay. Okay, but what he's asking is when does it have to be introduced by?
By statute, it has to be the
No. Based on that introduction, when do we have to introduce it? Based on the extension?
Based on the extension that I had asked, it's going to be introduced now. Yeah, April 27th.
I think it's the 27th of April. I just didn't want to be on the safe side. Yeah.
Okay, April 27th?
And again, that's for introduction, not adoption.
Okay, it's just introduction.
Again, we're still waiting for the tax appeal numbers and the certification.
Okay.
That's not clear yet.
And why is the 16 budget being introduced in 16? Is it fiscal year or is it, I mean?
It's always actually it's always introduced, and by statute is expected to be introduced in that calendar year for that year. It's a very strange process, but the 2016 budget cannot be introduced in 2015.
It cannot be.
No.
May I ask why?
Come on.
Yeah.
It's the law.
It's a law.
You can work on it, but you cannot introduce it until 2016.
So I'll stay on the whole statute. You have to, first you have to finalize your audit, get your financial statements from last year. You run on a temporary budget for the first quarter of the year.
Okay.
And then if you need to, you extend that temporary budget. But we work on our calendar year, January 1st, so we have to close out the books from last year and then we work on the budget for this year.
Okay.
And the dates are set by statute.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yes, Steve.
135 Branch Avenue, Stephen Heck. I missed the meeting when a person from the tax department, the county tax department, was here. But thanks to Sue Viscomi, I was able to watch the presentation. And I thought he did a very good job of selling the program. As you all know, the deadline for making a decision about whether Red Bank will be in or out of that program is on the 29th of this month. The next meeting.
Steve, it was extended to May 31st.
It was extended to May 31st?
Yes.
Okay. And will the council be putting that on the agenda at some point?
The council's engaged right now through our professionals in some discussions that will impact on our decision regarding that. It's premature right now to indicate which options we will have. We are reviewing a number of different options right now.
Okay, and there will be some public discussion
Well,
prior
it's
to
going to be a public
the...
discussion, yeah. We're just waiting for other pieces of the puzzle
Great.
to be brought to the
Okay, I must have missed the, that it was extended.
Cliff Moore's a very good guy.
Good salesman.
Commissioner.
Good salesman, too.
Yeah, good man.
One other thing, real quick.
How did he look on television?
I saw his back, and he has one of the
That's what I
nicest
thought.
backs.
You know, I was going to say, because the
Suzanne does a great job with backs.
If I had money, I could do both forward.
Real quick, just to get on the record, East Bergen Place is a mess. It's one of those streets that is a mess. There's been a lot of patching on East Bergen because those of us who live there have had to have our water lines replaced. It is a mess and it needs to be repaved.
Steve, we have a grant to do that, and the borough engineer is now in the process of arranging to have the underground lines televised to see if there needs to be any repairs before we pave. But that's being considered for this year's road program.
For this year,
Yes.
Yes, for the
2016.
For the 2016 road program.
Made my day. Thank you so much.
Let's make sure we get the notices to the property owners and delivered to everybody, please, before we start the work. Anybody else? I want to thank you all for coming. It's been really fun. Celebrating with you. We got to do this more often.
Yes.
Do we need any executive session? Yes, we do. No formal action will be taken, but we do need a brief executive session for personnel. But again, no formal action will be taken this evening.